Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video by me. Absolutely. Let's let on in here. High Plains with the Great Plains image set. Oh, this looks familiar. 200 wood start. Absolutely lovely. That's not the point though. Let's take a look around. You should be familiar with this map for two reasons. The first and most obvious reason is that, oh, lo and behold, it's quite similar to one of those other maps that we see a lot of on ESO. And that's the point. Great Plains is probably the most played map of all time, at least in 1v1. And for that reason, it's probably one of the player base's favorite maps. You could say, you could argue. Certainly I enjoy a game on Great Plains. And, you know, I'm really happy to see a map made by a guy that captures the essence of Great Plains and brings it in line with modern map-making sort of technology, I guess. What do I mean by that? Well, it's got much better hunt distribution and much better, well, certainly guaranteed hunt at the very beginning. Guaranteed starting hunt, I should say. You start with, you know, of course, your 4 bison, as you would on Great Plains. Normal, of course, beaver treasures for that easy hunting dogs. You know, a nearby bison, as I mentioned, a nearby pronghorn. You know, that you get that guaranteed. And, of course, access to a trading post should you need it. All of these things make it essentially a standard map through and through. And I think that's exactly why Great Plains was and continues to be so popular. Because it's just a, you know, a straight-up standard map. And now here we have it with, as I said, better guaranteed starting resources and just better resource distribution generally. Things on this map, I believe, there are 5 bison herds you know, outside of your starting resources and 3 pronghorn herds outside of your starting pronghorn herd. And obviously, you know, people tend to prefer bison because they're harder to kill when you're herding them back towards your town, since they take 3 shots to die, not 2. So, you know, they're making, you know, more bison herds than pronghorn is, you know, something I like. Fixing the trade route, was it really broken to begin with is a question. I would say no, but equally you could argue yes. It wasn't a huge problem, but you could just rush to the middle and build it and then get a guaranteed massive pass of XP because, you know, it's a big route with only 3 on it. It means you get a really big chunk of XP at the beginning, and if you get that and, you know, you both players rush to the middle, then one player gets there first and then the other player goes, oh, well, he just got it. And then has to walk all the way back and build that one. I mean, yeah, he can walk all the way back, build it, and get the pass of XP, you know, because you can still run to the middle, walk back, and build it, and get that first pass of XP before he's, you know, made an entire trip around. So it's not too bad, but still, you do waste a bit of time, and it does favour a player who gets that. I think, you know, and the fact that you can even get that XP is just silly anyway. Like, it just, you know, that wasn't around until very recently. People never really did that, and really it just gets your first shipment, you know, far too quickly, really. I think it's a good thing that we have a different route which you can't abuse, exploit quite as easily. If you want to play standard Great Plains, then, you know, you go ahead and do so. No one's stopping you. There is, what is it, that fixed version they call with an absolute billion hunt. But yeah, this is Great Plains, but a superior version, I would say. And that is the first thing. There are a few differences that make it adequately refreshing and more interesting. The second reason you should be familiar with this map is because we have seen it before. Garja has made several iterations of this map, and this is the final one that he's settled on. I think reluctantly, actually. I don't think he's a fan of making maps that just are the same as other maps. He actually reskinned this and called it something else. And I forget what it was, but it was a totally different... It was basically the same theme, but somewhere else in the world with, you know, which was geographically accurate and all of those things that Guy is very consistent at doing. But I think just the general consensus of the people, like, giving him feedback was that, no, like, Great Plains is iconic. It's a throwback map. You can't, like, take that away. So reluctantly, I think Guy, you know, putting this back in. But it's a map we've seen before is the point. And I will show you the, of course, tournament map pool. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let me pull in the correct tab. Yes, ESO Community. Do sign up. Summer Championships now open. This map is in the map pool. Going to be covering every map in the map pool, as I mentioned. It's going to be fun. I'm signing up. ESO-community.net. But yes, we've seen it before, but it's not brand new, is the point. But this is, you know, sort of the final iteration of it, I suppose. So there is that. Let's take a look at... what comes next? What do I generally do? I guess treasures was next. Actually, I could tell you how many hunts there are. Okay, so you get 6. We've looked at coin and hunt distribution. It's like Great Plains, but better. You get 6. Aside from your starting resources, there are 6 silver mines around the map. There are 5 bison herds around the map, and there are 3 pronghorn, as I said, and plenty of trees. Treasures are very Great Plains-esque. You get those level 1 treasures in your base, and then everything else, 140 food, 70 coin, 80 wood. I don't think the treasures, this is exactly the same spawn as regular Great Plains for treasures, same likelihood for these. And what are the different? Okay, so that's the resources and treasures. Terrain-wise, there are a couple of differences actually. Oh, I didn't touch on this. We do have these hills that spawn in these interesting places. And you'll think, well, what are they doing there? Why are they there? Well, I like the openness of the map. These used to be, I think, a bit bigger, but these now give you the ability to... Well, you could be fighting near one. Let's say you have cannons and you're pushing your opponent's base, or there's a fight out in the middle of the map. The fact that there's these 2 hills guaranteed near the sort of middle means if you have cannons, you can sort of set them up next to one of these hills, and that literally blocks off an entire side of getting to your falcons or skirmishers. So you can use the terrain to your advantage in a fight if you're that way inclined. Or equally, you can sort of wall up. You can put a wall in between this segment here and there. And you could put the same here from the black edge to and that like makes the the raiding less overwhelming, and it's nice. There these additions of terrain, but aside from that, it's really just Great Plains. Even the same for Cheyenne, and the same for the Lakota as well. Oh, so Comanches, sorry, not Cheyenne. And we all know what you can get there. So I'm not going to cover them. Of course, the Cheyenne with their hunting grounds usually sees play, or can, not usually, just can, and sometimes does see play, and the other one doesn't really. It's Great Plains, and I'm very happy with it, and I'm just glad it exists, is really my final comment. My name's been Interjection. Do like the video if you enjoyed it, and do show Garja some love. This took him a very long time to put together, and I'm really happy that the map pool is growing for a game that's 10 years old, and aging still. I'll see you next time.